My family traveled to the planet Indor shortly after I was born. It was one of the most popular planets in the galaxy and governed in a way almost unknown to any other planet. In short, Indor was rare because it was peaceful. To narrow down exactly what made Indor so peaceful for so many years would be to do the impossible. No one really knew. Many of us believe there was some magical spell cast upon the entire planet to ensure everyone was happy, or at the very least, kind to one another. That doesn't mean people didn't get into arguments and that there was never random fisticuffs, but the majority of issues on the planet were not solved with violence. It is sad that this idea would be seen as rare, but that's the way the galaxy goes, I guess. It was this way that Indor remained for centuries, settling conflicts with words instead of war. That is until the Great Moon War. The perfect record on Indor's history books was about to have one major blemish. Indor is divided into two groups, the Chrysos and the Melas. This division between the people of Indor alone was a recipe for disaster, but it's hard to argue with the history until this point. It obviously didn't cause war before. Why would it cause war now? Well, along with people falling under two categories, Indor also had two moons. The governing bodies that have led Indor since I moved here divided ownership of the two moons among the Chrysos and the Melas. The Chrysos gathered and decided to call their moon the Great Moon, while the Melas called theirs the Mighty Moon. Telling this story to an outsider does make it sound rather silly, like the governing bodies elected children to name them. I can see the original conversation now. Well, if your moon is great, then ours will be mighty. It does sound like the type of argument you would expect people on this planet to have, though. Anyway, it was said that a Chryso child born under the Great Moon would go on to be rather intelligent, and many of our inventors and scholars fit the mold. In contrast, a Melas born under the Mighty Moon would go on to revolutionize advancements in Indor military and defenses. I can read your mind already. Why would a planet that has never had a war need people to specialize in military or weaponry advancements? Simple, really. Indor was a peaceful planet and known in many parts of the galaxy to be so. That might be seen as a weakness and make Indor a prime target for attacks, so having a proper military and defense in the event of an outside attack from another planet did make sense. Indor's reputation for being peaceful traveled far and wide, but so did word of their stalwart defenses, and that was enough to keep them safe from outsiders. Sadly, not safe from each other. So what did happen with the moons? Well, the Galaxy Federation got involved as they do, and paid Indor a large sum of our own currency to allow testing on both Indor and our two moons. This testing also went on for centuries and helped Indor build strong relations with the Federation. Another maneuver necessary to keep the planet itself safe. Having the Galaxy Federation as allies made your planet nearly untouchable by anyone else, but it was common for the Galaxy Federation to overstep their boundaries. One project in particular involved the Galaxy Federation testing a new weapon, and let's just say the end result of those tests meant bad news for the Melas moon. The Mighty Moon turned out to not be so mighty, I'm afraid. As the Mighty Moon's pieces scattered into space, the Melas grew furious with the Galaxy Federation, not only ruining relations, but leading to the Federation cutting all ties with Indor. This did not sit well with the Chryso people. Conversations that followed, the same type of conversations that would end civilly in Indor's long history, were boiling over into lifelong feuds and uncontainable hatred. The Melas people took pride in their mighty advancements, and though the Chrysos put up more of a fight than anyone would have expected, it was obvious that whenever this war finally came to an end, that the Melas would be triumphant. A peaceful planet now ravaged by war for many years drew the attention of their neighboring planets. However, it also got the attention of their former allies. Melas was the reason the Galaxy Federation had to leave Indor and could no longer use it for testing their own technology, an outcome that did not sit well with the Federation. There was no way that those that represented the prime authority in the entire galaxy were going to sit by idly and let the Melas people win this war. So while they remained neutral through every battle up until this point, they would have the final say in who would be standing when the dust settled. In comes the Galaxy Federation's newest technology, one they never showed the people of Indor during their tests, a cyborg they gave the codename the Starlight Samurai. A war that lasted years, on the brink of ending in favor of the Melis people, was over in mere minutes. As soon as the Starlight Samurai touched down on Indor, the Melis people knew they had lost. Their entire front line was gone in an instant, as the Starlight Samurai cut through the Melis army like they were practice dummies. Each body that hit the ground threw those leading the Melis people into a panic, and this new weapon sent by the Galaxy Federation had them surrendering shortly after. The Galaxy Federation representatives that arrived after the Starlight Samurai had single-handedly won the war for the Chrysos, put the leaders of the Melis people in prison, and gave ownership of Indor as well as the Great Moon to the Chrysos. The trade-off being that the Galaxy Federation would be allowed to resume their tests on Indor and the Great Moon. Chrysos agreed to the terms, of course, and there has not been war on Indor since. A lot of the Melis people have left Indor, whether it be in disgust or defiance, but many have stayed. The planet may be peaceful now, but I believe that the moment the Melis people hear that the Starlight Samurai is no longer running wild in the galaxy, that we may be in for another fight.